Well, I call that a success. Put it in. We got the main body of the bike there, or the ATV, all the pieces, parts. Got the 4 tires.
Okay.
Got the box full of stuff. And then
tires in the back are way big. Okay.
it also comes with
All that stuff.
all these other pieces that we gotta bolt on there. All right, so we gotta get this thing off of the rest of this crate is what we gotta do.
Or can't get the other things out.
So we can't get the other things out, exactly.
I might also want to say, this is not sponsored by X-Pro.
This is not sponsored by X-Pro.
Which is...
All right, so if you remember from the previous video, this was ordered off of Amazon. It's a X-Pro. There's lots of different models and stuff. Basically Chinese type of ATV that is, sold off of Amazon. I think it was around, I don't know, $1,800 or $1,700 plus about $300 shipping, so around $2,000. And it comes in on a pallet, and they have like a metal frame and shipping container around it, and it comes kind of partially assembled. So you got to get this and all the pieces, parts out of that big box, off the pallet, and we decided to put it in the garage to assemble it. Relatively straightforward. You're going to need maybe like a crescent wrench, pair of pliers, ratchets, that kind of thing. So screwdrivers and some wrenches maybe, but pretty much standard stuff. And it's pretty much, if you have some common sense, you can get this together, because you will need that common sense. This thing actually does not come with an assembly manual. You have to figure it out on your own. So sometimes you're going to be, trying to figure out exactly where one piece's part goes, but you'll figure it out. It's not too difficult. So most of it is just, like I said, bolting it together and, making sure things are nice and tight and square and plumb, that kind of stuff. So a lot of these bolts and that come in here, they are actually these kind of like crown nuts. They have little grooves cut into one side or the other of the nut, and that's what you feed the cotter pin through. So that's kind of like their little safety mechanism. So when you're driving this ATV around, that cotter pin that goes through the crown nut, and there's a hole that goes through the shaft there, it won't let the nut come loose. So you can tighten it down, to an appropriate level, but then that cotter pin right there will prevent the nut from actually unscrewing backwards. So what we did is, we got this ATV. Like I said, comes partially assembled. The engine, the crankcase, transmission, and the chain, and almost all of it's completely assembled. But for purposes of shipping it, they have some of this stuff that's kind of like crammed in there, and you have to add on the rest of it, like the racks and things like that, and the tires. So, you and somebody else, or maybe just you, if you want to manhandle it, you can get this thing off of the crate and into some place where you can work on it. And I just put it up on like a little 2.5 gallon or 5 gallon bucket on one end and just start putting it together. I decided to start with the back wheels first. So yeah, started to start with the back wheels first just to get those on. They were wider, and I thought it might be nice to have kind of like a wide base back there. And then we're going to flip around to the front side, because this front is, you're going to spend a lot more time on the front than you are on the back wheels there. Okay, so this front area, obviously you got to get it elevated, and these are where the control arms are. On the back wheels, they're just fixed in place. They're not like independent suspension or anything back there. But the front area, you have to get the linkage together. It's not that difficult. It's just basically plug and play. But the front wheels also have these drum brake assembly in there, and I just tied them in place when we were moving it. So I got to cut out my little red cord here because they are attached with the linkage system that goes up to the handbrake. So I didn't want that to twist and get broken around. So that red rope right there was just temporary, just to get it off the crate and to get it into the garage to do some assembly. But there's basically 3 parts right there. There's the lower and then the upper linkage, and then there's that kind of like brass looking part right there, which is the part that attaches to the steering column, and that's what goes back and forth. The other parts just go up and down and provide stability. That brass linkage right there, the steering bracket, for the lack of a better word, that's actually adjustable. And we were using the ATV later on that summer, and it kind of like one of the wheels got a little bent and hit a tree. So we actually just you can adjust that to get the wheels back in alignment if you want, which is actually kind of a nice feature to have. So it wasn't like a total loss, and all we had to do is just basically kind of like readjust it just a little bit with some threading. So this area here with this linkage has those same kind of like crown nuts to them, with the grooves on there, and you put the cotter pins through, and it's actually pretty nicely constructed, which is somewhat surprising for a $1,700 ATV. This is I think it's around the 250-ish cc engine on there. If you were curious, they do have different sizes, and they're advertising this as an adult ATV. I don't think so. I mean, maybe a very small adult, but we got this for my son basically to ride around. And for a beginner, if you don't know if they're going to be interested in doing ATVing and that kind of stuff, you don't want to put a lot of money into it. Maybe you'd want to buy one of these to tinker around on, and it's not a ton of power, but it's enough to have fun, but not too much where they can get like seriously injured or go too fast. I mean, I think this thing will probably get up to like, I don't know, maybe 30 or 35 miles an hour, maybe on a straightaway. Maybe, I don't know, but it does have enough power. It's not 4-wheel drive, so all the power goes back to those back wheels. And one of the things that we notice is that it does kind of sit a little high when you're driving it, the center of gravity. So this is the shock absorber right here. Again, you're just bolting them into place, and this stuff is kind of like relatively straightforward. Same thing on the bottom. And it comes pre-sized, so you can adjust these a little bit if you want to go up or down or whatever, if the size from the factory isn't quite right. So there is some wiggle room in there just in case if you got one that's not exactly perfect, you can fine tune it. But getting back to the operation of this, it's a little higher than like the center of gravity. You kind of sit up a little higher, but that's fine. Just don't go around the corners and the turns quite as fast. Just have a little bit more common sense with that. And it does have forward and reverse and a neutral. So, but the gear shift is manual, and it's on the right-hand side of the ATV, and you literally have to kind of take it, with a kind of like a gear shift lever, and take it out of neutral, put it in forward, and if you want to go backwards, you take it out of forward, and you put it all the way back, and slide it back into the slot that says, reverse, and then you go reverse and just repeat. So, I mean, most people probably, if you have a little bit of land and maneuvering area, you probably just keep it in forward. But it's kind of nice. It does have the reverse on there as well. It's not electronic, so you have to manually put it in and out of neutral or forward or reverse. And, my son's 12, 13. It took them a little while just to kind of get used to it, but they get the hang of it. And I'm sure if you get, any teenager that age, they'll get the hang of it, no problem. I probably would not recommend getting this for somebody that's under 12. Maybe if your kid's a big kid, maybe a little bit like 11 or 10, that might be okay. But it does say that the ATV is for kids 16 years and older. I don't know if that's just a legal thing, but this one seems to be a pretty decent size for like an average 11, 12, maybe 13-year-old. That's a beginner. So if your kid's been riding ATVs and dirt bikes for a while, this is going to be boring for them. But for a beginner, just to have, you can take it out there. It's not a huge investment. Nice little project you can put together, with your son or your daughter or whatever. Then this is it's a pretty decent little bike. So there you go again. There's another crown nut. You just tighten them, and you gotta align the little crown slots in there so you can get the cotter pin in, and then just put the cotter pin in. And bend it.
He's got to take some initiative.
In the you can see right there the drum. That's to the right of my hand, to the right of the pliers. That's actually the brake system. So that's what you're attaching, and it attaches that whole linkage system together. And then you simply just put the tire on with the 4 bolts thereafter. So I'm spending some time on this side in a little bit more detail. I'm not going to do that for the other side because it would just be doing the same exact thing. But this kit comes with all the bolts, all the nuts, all the cotter pins, all the little parts that you need, the little racks, the lights, the battery, everything is completely turnkey. I think it actually comes with 2 keys. It does have a key, so you can start and stop it. Has a petcock, so you can turn on and off the gasoline.
That's July now.
Huh?
It's July.
Yeah, I know. You gotta.
Oh.
No, what if I were you? I would get over here, back up a little bit, so you can see the holes. All right. You can line it up. Find one. Now be careful with the holes. You don't want to. Perfect. Okay. Hold there. So move over. Move back. There you go. Perfect. Just like that. 2 hands. Anytime you're working with something heavy, always try to use 2 hands, okay? You understand? Don't do that. Okay, twist them in. I would do it the other way. So, like that. So this project kind of served Like
2
that?
purposes. I wanted to go out and spend some time with my son outside, but wanted him to get used to
figure it out, whatever feels better.
Using tools and
You have to go
building a
this
nice
way.
little project together. It was fun.
Hand here and
I
that
get
hand
it.
there. Something like that. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Get the
Okay, so we fast forwarded a little bit on the assembly, and like I said, I wasn't going to repeat all the same
Get down low.
procedures on the right hand side, but just putting that linkage together and everything over there, making sure it's nice and tight, doing the crown nut in there and putting the cotter pin in, and
Yeah.
putting the tire
You
on.
can probably take your cheese box out.
All right. Wow, that's a lot bigger, isn't it?
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, it is pretty cool.
We should probably take the cheese out.
Alright, so let's go back down in there. Pretty easy.
There, can I take these giant blocks out?
It looks kind of cool without the rack and stuff on there,
I don't know if I want the rack. But the rack looks cool too. It just looks more sleek. Smack dab right here at your logo.
Yeah.
That'd look cool.
All right, want to undo the seat wrap?
Yep. Dang it. That was bird poop, I think. No, it's just water.
Hey, jump up there. Let's take a look.
Haha, that's nice. It's surprisingly tall.
It's pretty cool, huh?
It might be taller than that one.
What are you clanking around on the other side?
I'm not.
What was that noise?
There's a piece of plastic in
Oh,
this.
okay. Yeah, looks good. Does that feel good? Huh?
This thing.
I don't know. Does that feel good?
Yes, this is really good.
Mm-hmm.
It's really nice. Hello. Oh God.
Okay, so
because that connects into there. Then
this
that connects to
ATV,
that.
it has a front rack and also a back rack.
All right, how many?
So you're probably definitely gonna at least have to put this piece on. It's up to you if you want to put the rest of the racks on. I did just because we had it, etc. I guess technically you don't have to. If you wanted to customize your look, that part right there, everything just kind of like bolts in to the main frame and then it bolts on to each other, that kind of stuff. What I would recommend is
You gotta turn
that
it way more.
you
gotta
put
go
the
like
bolts
there.
in somewhat loose. So you basically just put them in for like maybe a few threads.
This one gonna be rideable
So
today?
anyhow, you don't
Is this gonna be rideable today?
That's the goal.
you don't want to tighten the bolts down 100%. Because you want to keep it somewhat loose because the tolerances on some of these.
No. You almost flipped it.
Yes, you did. That back wheel was off.
Don't you dare. I'm serious.
Oh, Mama Bear's laying down the law.
Don't do that anymore. I did flip it.
Yeah, no, you were
got
about
off
to.
the ground.
No, that wheel was completely off.
I know. That's what I said. Give me a heart attack.
Sarah, actually, don't.
She's fine. Leave her alone.
No, she's not.
Guys, don't take the joy out of it.
Anyhow, so as I was saying, when you put the bolts in here on these on the racks and stuff, just put the bolts in just a little bit at a time, just to kind of like put them in place and near to where they need to go, because they all bolt into each other, and the tolerances are not perfect on these things. So if you tighten one down, too much ahead of time, then it's going to make it pretty difficult. You're going to have to maybe bend a piece a little bit here and there in order to get the next bolt in to where it needs to go. So put them in there, dry fit them just a little bit, and then later on you can go back and tighten them down individually and they'll eventually go to where they need to go. So this is the back assembly here. There's a back rack on top, and then there's the part there that has the back light on it. There's just like a little electrical cord that comes down that you plug in that's dangling there, and later on you can just put it up with zip ties or something like that. So the front brakes are the drum brakes that I just showed you, and then in the rear it also has this nice disc brake, and that you gotta make sure the pads are separated. You get it over the disc, and then it's just basically two bolts to get in place. You want to make sure it's nice and square. You don't want to have it cockeyed, because it's going to be rubbing on the disc. But there's hand brakes on the handlebar, and then also there's a foot brake on the right hand side that you just push down.
Isn't that supposed to spin?
What?
So 3
This
brakes
part here?
in total, two
Yes, it does.
front drum brakes, and then 1 rear disc brake, and then the rear.
The red part that you're working
This
on.
part here? That's the brake.
The rear suspension just has one shock on it, so it's not like independently suspended in the back. But that's fine. Again, that's probably how they keep the cost down. And it was fine. There's never a problem. But I kind of like that. It's a nice little touch to have, you know, the 2 drum brakes in the front. Probably a little bit less expensive to have drum brakes, and then at least 1 disc brake in the back. And then the performance is fine. There's that little electrical clip, and that's for the rear brake light.
Wait, is it done basically? Do we need a front guard really? I just want to drive. That one goes on for the shirt. Oh, this one seems neat.
Okay, so these, you know, front racks and stuff, the tolerances on these things aren't the greatest. So again, put the bolts in just a little bit, keep them all loose until you do like the final, you know, screw down, because it is kind of challenging in there. There's several different brackets that go back and forth, and then they all lock on each other basically, and then onto the frame. So they're generally in the area where you need to be putting these bolts, but some of them are off just a little bit, or maybe the angle of where the nut is, you know, or is slightly off at an angle, you know, when they were manufacturing it and welding it in place. Sometimes they just like welded a bolt onto the frame, and then you're supposed to put sometimes they welded a nut onto the frame, and it's off just a little bit, like a couple degrees off. It's not like a perfect 90 degrees. So, you know, just keep that in mind. So that's why you kind of like do a loose fit first and then tighten everything down. And I just, you know, I like buying like these black ATVs or whatever, because you just have a little bit of black spray paint. If there's a little area that got nicked in shipping, or, you know, during the manufacturing process they welded something and it's kind of like showing a little bare metal, just hit it with a little, you know, spray paint and protect it from the elements. So that's what I'm doing there, even though it's brand new. So a couple little other, you know, cross braces in there, and just going to do some final tightening, and then these front rack system is going to be basically assembled. I think somebody's getting excited to ride it.
Sucking it down. What? Yeah.
What do we need now? Just the battery?
What's that?
We just need like the battery. Oh, I send it.
No, we don't need just a battery.
What's over here?
Okay, so this kit comes with a battery, and I think we had to put it on the charger just to charge it back up. But basically, it was a brand new battery in the box, and we just kind of like topped off and made sure it was, you know,
Is that it? It just kind of clips in?
full of juice. Has this little teeny tiny green and red light electrical system. That's as fancy as it gets to show whether or not it's on or not. Fill it up with gas.
Is that it?
That's
Probably
it.
it. There wasn't like a little piece of film or anything on there, was there?
Lots of warnings on this
See where
thing.
those
I know, I
little
did
notches
that.
are?
Those are all just stickers. If you want, you can peel them off.
Next one.
this like ignite it? Make it go boom boom kaboom kaboom. I like boom boom kaboom.
Already has oil in there. Okay, so the assembly, you know, the engine's already together. The main part of the bike is together. Just checking to make sure it has enough oil. You can see right there, that's the gear shift.
Wait. Okay, put the flag
Also
on.
comes with a flag. You got to show your X-Pro pride.
Is it on?
It's going on.
Has a key. Turn the key on. Has electric start. And we're going to try to start it for the first time.
Hey! How about that?
That's awesome.
First try!
I saw it.
That's pretty crazy. So over here, see how it has,
Oh, it only said
it's got neutral, forward, and reverse. That's the way it'll do it. Wait, you're not doing it. Okay, so we got the first try of the Moto-Pro, X-Pro, and it's got this transmission down here where you go forward, neutral, and reverse. So show me, without pressing on the gas, show me putting it in forward, how you would do that. Gotta go out, and then up, right? Okay, that's forward, then that's neutral, and that's reverse. All right, so go ahead, no, so put it in reverse. Okay, so let's see reverse just a little bit. All right, turn the wheels, turn the wheel, turn the wheels, wrong way, there you go. Stop. Or you can, all right, keep on going, that's fine. Straighten out, keep on going. All right, come to a complete stop before you put it in. There you go. Well, I call that a success. Put it in neutral for a second. And you'll get, here, look.
I know.
You'll get used to it. No, wait. So turn on the lights.
Is it over here?
Yeah, the blue ones, I think, right?
Blue? Wait, over here? Down here?
The ones that look like lights?
Oh,
Yeah. Those look like lights right there. So what's it? Hold on a sec. Okay, so turn on the lights. All right, that looks pretty good. That's not bad. What's that? Medium and low? Do that again.
high, medium, low.
Okay.
Or
All right. Looks pretty good there. The X Pro. And then step on the brakes. Okay. Nice. Okay, now the rear brake. Let the rear brake go up it or in and out. Okay. All right, that's not bad. All right. All right, well, let's see what you got. Put it in reverse and stay on the driveway, okay? There you go. You can move your foot out of the way.
All right, so we got it completely
Put those
assembled.
lights on.
Took about
Put those lights on. There you go.
I don't know. You probably get this done in a half a day, maybe, or maybe a little bit longer. Standard tools. You don't need to buy any special tools. And we are going to have some trail riding videos coming out soon. So hope you enjoyed this one. Thanks a lot.